We are coming to you live via Facebook streaming, YouTube streaming, and via Skype. Each one of you is welcome to this live streaming from our studios in Trinidad. Yesterday there was some sound system problems, so we corrected it, and after testing it was found that everything is better. You can self-remembering alone can transform you. Self-remembering alone can transform you. You can be authentically yourself, and self-remembering is the way. What is self-remembering? I had mentioned earlier that you are a center, you are born authentic, but we carry the different brands. Just as we have car brands and the other appliance brands, and each brand is manufactured in a different country. Sometimes they are manufactured under a license in another country. So we carry as human beings different brands. Someone is a Hindu brand, next one is a Christian brand, then Muslim brands. And these brands are manufactured in different countries that give it the country of origin. This is the false identity. When you were born, you were innocent, your inner sky was clean, nothing was written on it. You were authentically a human being, a being. But then the process of conditioning began through the family, through education system, through religious upbringing, and all these gave you a false center which you were not born with. And we started living out of this false center. Your freedom was lost. You lived as a slave. As a slave, as a false person, there was no path that could lead you to the divine, to ultimate possibility, the ultimate flowering of your being. First, you must be centered. You remember, if you want to draw another circle, you must be centered at the center of that. With false center, there is no growth. Only you can accumulate. And remember, there is a distinction between accumulation and growth. You can accumulate many things, but you are not growing. With false center, you can accumulate wealth, you can accumulate knowledge, you can accumulate anything, but there is no growth. Growth comes in when you are authentically connected to the center, then you are consciousness. As consciousness grows, many dimensions open up. Growth happens only to the real center. Growth is not an accumulation. You are not burdened by growth, but with accumulation you are burdened. I have heard Swami Vivekananda when he went to New York for the Parliament of Religions in 1893, there was a person who was the richest man in New York, known as John D. Rockefeller. And you can see in New York Rockefeller Center and so many things there. He was the richest man. At that time, he was controlling nearly 90% of the oil production of America. And that time, his total capital was close to 2% of America's GDP. But he was not happy. He was very much worried. So it happened that he came to know that Vivekananda is staying in the house of one of his friends. So being the richest man, the ego comes in. He decided to come to meet Vivekananda without any appointment or anything, because in order to meet the President of America or any other politician, he doesn't need any appointment. So he went to his friend's place, and without knocking or information, he just darted into the room where Vivekananda was, either writing something or reading something. Vivekananda did not pay any attention to him. When he finished what he was doing, he greeted Rockefeller and told him something about his past that only Rockefeller knew. This amazed Rockefeller, and he said, "You are maybe the richest man you could have accumulated. You may have knowledge more than a common man, but you are not growing. You should spend some invest in the field of charitable. You have earned money. Use this money for the benefit of humanity." Rockefeller did not like this. He came out of the room. 1 week after, he went again to meet Vivekananda and put a note on his table that you should be happy that I am donating this amount of money for charities. And thereafter, Rockefeller became the philanthropist. He spent his resources for the benefit of humanity. You may have resources, but what are you using that for? For your own benefit, accumulating it for the family and friends and so. But how much of that are you spending for the benefit of humanity? How much of your time have you dedicated for the betterment of humanity? That is growth. Growth happens only when you are connected to the center, and for that matter, self-remembering is the way. Growth is not accumulation. You are not burdened by growth. Accumulation is burden. You know many things without knowing. You can know much about love without knowing. You can write scriptures, but unless you experience the love within you, love is an energy. Just like sex is energy, it is the same energy, but in different forms. At the gross level, it is sex. At a higher level, just as water is fluid. Water is frozen first, then it melts, it becomes fluid, then it evaporates. Same way, this existential bioenergy that you are bestowed with is in frozen form. And in the frozen form, it is at the physical level or gross level, it is sex. You want to start, but you do not know. You are frozen. You are engrossed in the mind. You think about it, but when time comes to flow with it, you are not able to do. When it begins to flow naturally, then it comes the next stage. But sex energy by nature flows just like water from a higher altitude to the lower. And that's how it happens in most of the cases. Your sex life never fulfills you. When it reaches to the next level, the water is put on the fire, fire is lit, water starts changing its form, and it becomes steam and then disappears in the cosmos, in the atmosphere. That is the highest level of sex. And then sex first transforms into love. This is your own experience. Not that you have learned about it, you have known about it. That cannot transform you. Only when it becomes the union of the male and female energies in you, then illumination happens. That illumination is love, the light. Love is the light that comes out, that manifests when the anima and animus, the Shiva and Shakti, the male and female, the positive and the negative, left on the right side of the brain, merge into one another, and there is no patches of desires and anything else. Then for the first time you experience, you know what love is. When out of that you enter into the sex, it fulfills you, and then finally it becomes compassion. Passion vanishes, and this is the ultimate form of. But for that you have to remember. Self-remembering is the process. What is self-remembering? Self-remembering means you were born innocent, you had no brand, you had no conditioning, nothing was written on your inner sky. You are living as a natural person. You can move your eyes to the real. Before you go into any act, before you meet any person, just remember that you are born unconditioned. When you meet someone, you carry your brand name, that I am a Muslim, I am a Hindu, I am a Christian, I am an American, I am an Indian, I am German, I am French, I am Japanese. No child is born with any brand or with anything else. This remembrance now, if you are a rich man, like what Rockefeller thought, that he is the richest man in America, he need no appointment with the ministers or anyone. But Vivekananda was 30 years of age, a young monk with no money with him, but he carries the treasure deep within him. He carried the entire, he was connected to his center. He had 5,000 years of the Vedic culture embedded into him. The experience of the sages and the mystics was into him. There was another incident. The American sociologist, physicist, biologist Patrick Giddis, he was FRSE, Fellow of Royal College, and he met Vivekananda and he mentioned him of the problem in his eyes. Vivekananda told him, Professor, you should mind it. Professor, be mind-minded, not I-minded. You should be minded by mind, not I. He mentioned the problem E-Y-E-I, but he mentioned I, capital I. Not I-minded, be mind-minded. Fearless, not bothered who he is speaking to. He is speaking truth. When you are speaking, you are afraid who you are speaking to because you want to gain benefits out of that person. For that, you have to, what we use the word in Trinidad, mamagai. We adulate the person, irrespective of whether he needs it or not. Are you belittling yourself by this, or you are expressing your authenticity? Self-remembering means whatsoever you are doing, remember yourself that you are your inner man and woman are united. Don't forget this. This very remembering will give you authentic reality to whatsoever you are doing. Then whether you are doing the business or you are doing any other profession or you are making love or you are walking on the street, you will always remember that. And you are not operating from the false center, and from the false center you can only pretend. You can pretend that you are loving. You can pretend that you are making love. If you are praying, first remember that you are, but what is your prayer? Your Christian prayer, Hindu prayer or Muslim prayer. But if you remember who you are, then your prayer will not be expression of your falseness. And in that case, your prayer becomes just nonsense, just a deception. You are deceiving no one else but yourself. First, remember that you are, and that remembering that I am. That's why the Ishopanishad says, Aham Brahmasmi. The focus is on Brahma Asmi. Brahma means consciousness, Asmi is verb, and Aham, I am. But while we are intoning this particular sutra, we give importance to the syllable I am, Aham. Aham Brahmasmi. Aham, short, Brahmasmi. I am ever expanding consciousness. If you do not know this, but all these sutras, they are like specialized tools for a specific work into your consciousness. If you do not know how to use your tool, you can damage yourself. So you must know where the accent is supposed to be. When anytime any mantra is to be, when you are talking using the Gayatri mantra, Om Bhu Bhuva Swaha. Pause. Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Na Prachodayat. Om. That echo has to continue and reverberate deep within you. That should vibrate deep within your consciousness. So you now, the false is no more. It is not a burden to you. You can use it now. It is instrumental. You are not a slave. You become the master. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that everyone is asleep. We are sleepwalkers. Only yogi, one who is awakened, one who is connected to his center, who is not a Hindu brand, not a Muslim brand, not a Christian brand, not Indian brand, nor African brand, nor European brand, or any other country of origin, nothing else. Only he is awake. Before he is meeting anyone, he knows that he is a human being, not a doctor, not a professor, nothing else. What is your name? You can call me by any name. The moment I realize that you are addressing me, I will respond. I am known by different names, but no name can encompass what I am. Consciousness cannot be named. I am consciousness, ever expanding consciousness, that which is constantly expanding. How can you encompass within the boundaries of name and or anything else? Yes, for certain reasons, certain purposes, the name is used. That is important. But at the same time, you must remember, yes, that is a name given to you for identification, but your real identification is your consciousness that I am born innocent, I have nothing written, I am no Hindu, no Muslim, no Christian, no Indian, no African, no British, no German, nothing else. This yogi remembers even when he is asleep. Yogi means awakened one. You remember Krishna says that the yogi never sleeps. Body rests. Body rests because body needs rest. You are not remembering yourself while you are awake. So how can you remember yourself while you are asleep? You are walking on the street, but you do not remember who you are. You remember that you are a woman, you are a man, you are a rich man, you are this or that. Try and you will feel a change of quality into you. When you are meeting someone, you put aside all those things. Suddenly a new lightness comes to you. The heaviness disappears. When Rockefeller met Vivekananda, he thought that he was the richest man, he needs no appointment with anyone. Vivekananda had nothing else. He simply connected to his center, he paid no attention to Rockefeller. When you are in a higher consciousness, when you are, for instance, if you are talking to your boss, if somebody else comes, would you pay attention to him? But it happens there when you go to the temple. I recall there was an occasion of Navratri, the 9 nights of prayers before Diwali. One night the Indian High Commission was supposed to come and he was supposed to inaugurate. So God has to wait. All the Devis and the Navratris, they had to wait for the High Commission to come. That man Maybe he is a high priest, maybe he is owning a great respect or so, but he is not praying. His focus is on High Commissioner, because from High Commissioner he can get benefits, although he tells you that by worshipping the god and goddesses you will gain prosperity, this and that, but his prosperity comes from the High Commission of India, not from. So the president of the temple was sitting, each time door opens, he watches that if the High Commissioner is coming. And there were people outside waiting for him, for the High Commissioner to arrive and inform the priests and everyone. So everything will pause. The Pandit will stop talking about God and will welcome the High Commissioner of India. He is burdened. You are thrown off the moment you are authentic, you feel lightness, heaviness disappears. You are thrown out of the false center to the real once again, but it is difficult and arduous because we are so much grounded in the false, in our identities, that we have no time otherwise. It will take time, but no transformation is possible without self-remembering, becoming effortless for you. You simply start remembering yourself, otherwise transformation is not possible. So next week I will dedicate the time on, I had spoken on 3 stages of sexual relationship. First was a rectangle, the second was a triangle, the third was a circle, and also how one can experience multiple orgasms without effort. It comes like when there is an earthquake, there is a major tremor, which is maybe 6, 7 on a Richter scale, but followed by that many small tremors continue even after the earthquake has subsided. So in that way, the orgasms happen, and one can experience multiple orgasms through that act. But you have to understand, when I said it happens in 3 ways: rectangle, triangle, and circle. When I mentioned circle, the problem is this: the words that I have to use from the language that you know, but my meaning of the word differs because there is no other word. So sometimes the explanation is necessary. Sometimes by intoning the word, breaking it into its components, and then you can explain the meaning. You know circle as a friend circle, a social circle, or any other circle, but when I use the word circle, circle is used as a synonym for circuit. The circuit completes when the current flows from the positive to the negative. And in that circuit is completed, the energy flows from one pole to the other, and it neutralizes one another. That is your energies. Now energies is moving in a circle. In case of electricity, when the positive and the negative current flows through the electric bulb with the filament that is made out of tungsten metal, and that is absorbs the two, and there is an illumination. So in case of people engaging, it is Sex is always happens between two people, man and a woman. But when the circuit is completed, the energy moves from one to the other and it energizes each other. So you feel not tired, not burdened. Instead, you feel light after that act is finished. You are more energetic. Normally, after the basic act, you fall asleep. But when your sex act has become completed a circuit, it becomes a circle, the energy is not escaping. Remember, the energy escapes from the ends of the nerves, finger. That's why when we get angry, we shake our hands, our feet. But when there is a circle, then energy is moving in this way, not escaping out anywhere. That is where when we have to activate a particular chakra, it has to come up in that way so that it does not escape from there. So energy that you have gained through the act of sex is not escaping anywhere. It is not feeling heaviness. You feel light, energetic, happy, more than what you have done. After that, you feel burdened, you feel guilty. But here you feel totally different kind of feeling which you have never experienced before in life. Maybe you may have many acts of sex, but none of these have been fulfilling. Otherwise, it should have reflected through your presence, through your very being. The moment I come across a person, just by looking at the person, you know whether he is fulfilled or not. Rockefeller may be the richest man. Patrick Giddis may be the biologist, maybe sociologist, maybe philanthropist or anyone else, but he was burdened. And he asked Vivekananda, mentioned to him the problem that he was facing in his eyes. Vivekananda said, Professor, be mind-minded, not I-minded. He was mentioning the problem in the eyes, EYE, but I also comes from one single syllable, I. The letter, the 9th letter of the English alphabet is I. And that refers to ego, because all that accumulation makes you egoistic. This is my way. The business, the teaching, or whatever is my way of living or way of being. My talks are the way of my being. Business is a part of my living. You can choose any profession for your living, but being is centering into yourself, knowing that your screen is clear, you are centered, you know that I am consciousness. I am nothing else but ever expanding consciousness, and consciousness is not stationary. Degree you have attained, knowledge you have gained, but knowing is different than knowledge. Knowing never ends, knowledge ends. Knowledge is accumulation, knowing is an expansion, a continuous, a perennial expansion. So be into that. So next week, I'll focus on that, an aspect of first these various types of orgasm, these sexual relationships, and then multiple orgasms that one can gain in one's own way. So until then, take care. Do have a pleasant day. Only this much for this morning.